Another thing that was a lot of fun and made the game really interesting was the open world environment. There have been a couple games, and I think of all the racing games, the ones that have been the most recognized and superior to all the others have had open world environments. I know some of the racing games for Xbox and games like, well, Gran Turismo isn't just for Xbox, but Gran Turismo, I know there's another one for Xbox, and I think I actually own one of the games too. But those games, they're more oriented towards like professional racing and things like that, and they don't really have open world environments. As well, some of the Need for Speed games, I think Need for Speed Shift doesn't have an open world environment, and neither does this game right here, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. And so because of that, it kind of doesn't allow you to just kind of explore at your will, at your whim, and engage the cops when you want to, at your own leisure, where you want to. And that's kind of what Need for Speed Most Wanted got its name from. If you didn't want to play the storyline and just wanted to get a bunch of bounty and run away from the cops, you could go ahead and do that in your open world environment with the coolest car that you had running. The next thing that was really interesting was bounty. Now they have bounty as similar kind of bounty in Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, but it just doesn't work the same way. You really got bounty for wrecking as much stuff as possible and wrecking as many cars as possible, for breaking all the laws and doing awesome stuff that you could never do in any other game. And so because of that, you'd rack up things like 15 million bounty, and you'd have a certain amount of bounty per car. It was really awesome. And not like you could play the game, and this was kind of unfair, I guess, because it didn't get you to play all the different modes, but you could pretty much finish the game for the most part with just huge scores in bounty without playing too much of the other content. Although there was a lot of other parts of the content, a lot of other game modes in Need for Speed Most Wanted that were really cool too. Things like speed cameras, which you had to hit a certain speed and a really hard spot usually to hit that speed. Those were really fun. The toll booths, when you could crash through the toll booths, and instead of time trials you had to get through the toll booths, those were a lot of fun. So on top of the bounty, there was other different game modes that were very, very interesting in the series as well. And then the last thing was customization. In Need for Speed Most Wanted, for the most part, you could customize the vehicles however you wanted to. There were limitations compared to Need for Speed Underground 2. Need for Speed Underground 2 was just relentless in the amount of customizations you had. I mean, you'd spend an hour customizing 2 sections of a car, whereas in Need for Speed Most Wanted, you may spend an hour customizing, maybe the paint job and the engine and that kind of stuff. For the most part, the entire part of the car. And that really, I guess, the combination of all those factors, I mean, customization in and of itself is a lot of fun. I mean, you could play Need for Speed Underground 2. I know people did play Need for Speed Underground 2 specifically for the customization options instead of the racing gameplay. But on top of the customization options, when you combine, awesome customization with, shiny painting versus metallic painting versus a stale, regular colored painting, along with like customizing your engine, your brakes, your mirrors, your fenders, the things on your car, the headlights, the neon, and that kind of stuff. By combining, customization of both parts and appearance with the bounty and the open world environment, the little things like barreling through roadblocks, being able to do flips, and then the slow time option, you really got a very, very well-rounded game in Need for Speed Most Wanted, and that's why a lot of people liked it so much. But now we'll move on to the next game, Burnout 3, another one of the most well-regarded games in the racing genre. Note, this is not specifically because I played it, although I did play it. There are other racing games out there, like Gran Turismo, that are very highly regarded, but these are just the ones that I'm talking about that I know that I've played very well. And specifically towards Burnout 3, it was the first racing game that I played that really involved crashing people into walls. I actually played Burnout 3 before Need for Speed Most Wanted, and kind of Burnout 3 led me to Need for Speed Most Wanted. But I remember playing Burnout 3 for the first time, and I played Road Rage. And that's all I played. I wouldn't stop playing Road Rage. After that, I hated racing games. I wouldn't race in a game. I would just go play Burnout 3 and play Road Rage just to smash the crap out of cars and get these awesome shots of the cars flying off into ponds and stuff like that. They gave you challenges specifically to shoot cars into certain places, to wreck the car in a specific way, like make it so the car hits a train, hits a cab, flies off into a lake, hits a pillar in an underground railway. Things like that. Things that are ridiculous that you would never imagine doing in a racing game, you get to do now. One of the modes they had, well, that mode specifically was called Road Rage, but some of the other modes they had, one of the modes was Crash mode, and the only goal was to rack up as much money as possible, kind of like the bounty, rack up as much money as possible by crashing other cars. Now they had a slow-mo option where you could like slow down your car as you're moving it and like kind of direct it towards where it goes, and that was awesome. You used huge explosions, multipliers, trying to beat your friends, being the most, competing with your friends to get the most together collectively, trying to beat the highest scores. And it wasn't easy. Like Need for Speed Most Wanted, it was not an easy game to beat. Yes, some of the earlier races were fairly easy, but I think that's kind of what was characteristic of racing games, is that they were hard to beat. Burnout 3 not alone. But yeah, the modes is really what made the game. You know, you did have multiple car classes, like in this game, very, very similar to Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. You have like the fast cars and the slow cars. But the only thing you could really customize was the paint, which I was kind of disappointed at. But it also made the game more simplistic for, you know, the option of, I want to road rage. I want to just pick my car, go as fast as humanly possible, and bust into people. You know what I mean? And they also had like the NOS speed differences. Like you got your NOS based on drifting and just completely beating the crap out of cars. Like if you beat out a car, then you beat out another car, and you beat out another car in a row, you get like a 4 times NOS boost and like unlimited NOS, and it was just awesome. And you could just like go all day on NOS, and like you just not stop because you didn't care. You just want to blow up the cars. And that's really why Burnout 3 was so awesome. You know, the modes were cool, but I mean the career mode was cool, the races were cool, but it was the modes like Road Rage and Crash mode that were really just made the game completely and just made it so much fun. Paradise was a little bit different. Burnout Paradise, it implemented the free world environment, which was interesting. I thought it would work very well, and it kind of did, but the racing and the crashing and the road rages just weren't fun, in my opinion. Like, you would try to go and you'd play a race or you'd do a road rage, and it just didn't seem like it did in Burnout 3. The courses weren't set courses, if you know what I mean. They weren't, I mean, they were shut off, kind of, but they weren't shut off enough where you couldn't get lost. It didn't feel like you had a set course to follow where you wanted to go. But that aside, I mean, it was a good game in the free world environment. You could just kind of roam around and just crash the crap out of random cars that you found and have a lot of fun doing that. So maybe, I guess, if they implemented or kind of put together Burnout 3 and Burnout Paradise, it would have been really awesome if they kind of made the courses more selective and had the open world environment. It would have been a really awesome game, I think. But the cars were cool. They had added a lot more car customization in terms of like colors and things like that, and that was really cool. And then now, the last game that I've really recently played is Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, the one we're looking at now. And I gotta be quick because I'm running down on time here. But for Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, I've played a little bit of Gran Turismo and a little bit of other stuff in between, but this is really what I jumped to. I saw this game getting ready to come out on Christmas, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to get this game. This is going to be the revolution in gaming for racing games. This is going to be the next Need for Speed Most Wanted, because, you know, Hot Pursuit, or Need for Speed Most Wanted, really derived itself from the Hot Pursuit game line. The whole cops and chasing, cop cars chasing, that idea came from the Hot Pursuit gameplay. And I got the game, and I was just blown away. I started playing the game, and the graphics were just phenomenal. You could see the shine on your car so well, and my jaw just like dropped when I watched it, and I was just like laughing out of ecstasy because the game looked so good. From there, I went on to play the multiplayer online because I hadn't played a multiplayer part of a racing game before. In Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, it was the Hot Pursuit game mode, and specifically in the Hot Pursuit game mode, there are multiple classes that you can choose, specifically pertaining to the multiple speed types of the cars. And you start out with essentially no cars, and you play the campaign or the career mode to get cars. And the unique thing about the multiplayer mode is that you get to be both police cars and the racers, and your goal is essentially either to either get to the end of the race with your razor and bust the cars if you're the cop. And you level up and you get new levels of weapons and things like that, like the Epic Turbo. And after I played the multiplayer, I really enjoyed it. It's definitely a great multiplayer, and it's very much complemented by the the career mode. And it's definitely a good game to buy if you're out looking for a game that's more recent and it's a racing game. That's all the time I have right now. Hopefully we'll get to talk more about games later on. Maybe I can get some footage of Need for Speed Most Wanted if I can figure out how to get a component cable working for my PS2. If anybody knows how to do this, leave a comment, message me. I'd be really interested in getting some gameplay of Need for Speed Most Wanted and uploading that as well and talking about that. So thanks for listening. Like, favorite, subscribe, support the channel, drop some comments, let me know what you think. Hopefully I'll be uploading some more videos soon, and have a good day. Thanks for watching.